Hey guys, coming around for Agent Carter, Season 2, Episode 3, Better Angels, and I was definitely really looking forward to this episode. Last week's premiere really surprised me. I did not expect it to be as great as it was, and the direction that we're heading in, I have to say, this honestly could end up being a better season than Season 1. I mean, I know I said last week that it might not be possible, but just the way we're heading and the way they're setting things up, this could honestly be better than Season 1. It really could, and I really love this episode. Already we're connecting things, and I definitely really love that, but let's just get into this episode. There's a lot to talk about, some really great stuff here, and really, really loving it, I have to say, guys. Really great stuff. So we start off right off the bat with Peggy. She's being basically mobbed by reporters. They all want to know about the explosion in Isodyne because they have no idea what's going on. Of course, Peggy really doesn't know the answer to any of their questions. So she joins Sousa in investigating Dr. Wilkes' home, and most of this episode does focus on what happened to Wilkes exactly, why did this happen, things like that. And basically, she does get away from all the reporters, and then she joins Sousa in investigating Dr. Wilkes' home, but Sousa says that they haven't found anything yet, and that he hasn't heard anything back from Jack about the pin either. So basically, they aren't really finding anything, and Peggy stumbles on a hidden cache in a floor containing a Russian passport cache and a flight ticket, and basically, she doesn't know what this is all about, but an Agent Baker claims that Wilkes was a spy and says that he found a weapon matching the one that killed their men in Wilkes' bedroom, and Carter thinks, and Peggy is convinced that, Wilkes is being framed, and obviously it would make sense. Again, it very much goes with the whole racism thing that's going on. I mean, it seemed like everyone thinks Wilkes is this very shady person when he's clearly not, and definitely he is being framed, and Peggy can tell that there definitely is something going on here that no one is telling her. So Peggy and Jarvis walk into a shot on the set of Howard Stark's latest Western film, which was uber cheesy. I mean, it was really cheesy, definitely. I definitely really like seeing that, which is an adaptation of the Kid Colt comic book, and they show Howard the video, let me just say, it was great to see Howard Stark back, especially because they didn't know if they were going to be able to get Howard Stark back, because if you guys know, Dominic Cooper right now is on Preacher on AMC, and, he was busy with that at Comic-Con, so it's great that they got him back for this. I don't know if he's going to be on for the rest of the season, but at least we got him in this episode. They show Howard the video of the explosion that created Zero Matter and the mysterious lapel pin, and Howard recognizes the pin as a sign of membership in the Arena Club, which caters to the elite, only meaning white males exclusively. So again, very much with the whole racism stuff, I'm definitely really enjoying the way that they're doing that here. Well, not really, enjoying it, but I think they're definitely handling it very well. We then see Whitney, who definitely, the way that they set up Whitney, I was a bit worried about Whitney last week, I have to tell you guys. Whitney was the one character I'm like, I don't really know what they're trying to do with her. It's clear, though, that they are definitely setting her up to be, like, the villain of this season, which I definitely really do like. And I'm pretty sure the whole Dottie Underwood stuff isn't as important because they do bring it up, but we haven't seen her, so I don't know if that's gonna, like, come back into play. We'll have to see what happens there. But, Whitney Frost examines the zero matter attached to her forehead. She touches it, it seeps into the skin on her finger, and she hides the blotch on her forehead with her hair as Chadwick walks in to show her the news of Wilkes' death in the paper. It's clear that she does not really know what's going on in this zero matter, which I definitely love seeing. I mean, even Whitney doesn't really know what's going on, and Chadwick wonders why Whitney isn't at work, and she lies about feeling ill. She asks Chadwick about retiring from acting, but he doesn't want anything to overshadow his election. He needs her to stay acting because it's good for his campaign, and it's clear that Chadwick, I think, sort of cares about her, but at the same time, I feel like he only really cares about his campaign, and the way we're setting that up with Chadwick is definitely very interesting, and these are two villains that we really did not have last season. That's one of the reasons why I think this season might surpass last season, because I think Dottie Underwood was a very good villain, don't get me wrong, but not like Chadwick and Whitney. I really am loving them as villains, and I think they're doing a very good job, with showing them. So Sousa and Peggy return to the office. They find Jack waiting for them, and yes, Jack does come back in this episode, and we knew that Jack got a new business opportunity, but we didn't know what it was, and it pretty much is that he's going to join them. He's going to join them. He's rewritten Peggy's report to indicate that Wilkes was a communist spy, and basically is doing stuff against her. He still is not trusting her, and Jack insists that the investigation is over and tells Peggy, he's convinced that this was all that Wilkes was a spy, and tells Peggy to sign the report, and she obviously refuses. I mean, she does not think that Wilkes was this spy, and I don't think he was either. So Jack forges her signature, literally he forges it, and Peggy storms out of the office, failing to notice the keys and pen mysteriously levitating over her desk, and why that's going on, we don't know, but she doesn't notice it, obviously because she's really pissed at Jack, and wow, what a great way for Jack to return. I mean, hey guys, I'm back, and I know it's like, hey guys, I'm back, and I'm gonna take over. Like, seriously, that's what Jack's there to do. He's there to take over, and he definitely is the dick of the show, but I do like that they're setting him up. I think they're setting him up definitely to be a little bit more this season, which I definitely do like seeing. Peggy and Jarvis then arrive back at Howard's home, and he's throwing a party for his production assistants, and Peggy talks Howard into helping her infiltrate the arena club. She wants to find out what's going on with the arena club because there's clearly something fishy going on. I mean, she's convinced that Wilkes is not a spy. So Jack is watching the Isodyne explosion film when he hears a knock at the door, and Masters is waiting for him. Masters, the one that offered him the business opportunity, and Jack assures Masters that the Isodyne report will be uncontroversial, and, Masters wants to recover the material that Wilkes stole. Masters is kind of convinced that there might be something else going on, and basically, Howard and Jarvis pay a visit to the arena club. Howard becomes very impatient with waiting for his martini, which was a very funny scene. I mean, that's Howard Stark for you. He will do whatever he can to get his drinks, and I love that. He then has Jarvis swing open the doors, allowing several women, including Peggy, inside the exclusively male club, which that's what it is. It's a club that's there for males, and Peggy sneaks away to investigate the establishment, and I like seeing Peggy as a spy here. One of the best parts of season 1 was seeing Peggy go undercover, and seeing it again, I mean, she just does such a great job. She really does, and basically, the Arena Club butler calls in a code pink to security. While Peggy finds her way toward the secret chamber we previously saw Chadwick visit, she finds that it's just as a meeting is adjourning, hides, and then sneaks into the meeting room where she finds two different versions of the same newspaper. One is obviously the real one, and one is obviously, I think, written to frame Wilkes. Obviously, that's what's going on there. So Peggy hides under the table as security walks in. Peggy manages to sneak out of the chambers, which honestly, very intense scene here. I mean, you really didn't know what's going to happen. Peggy manages to sneak out of the chambers, only to be spotted by another guard. Jarvis rescues her, and they and Howard take their leave, and I definitely like seeing that. My only thing with this episode, I will say, is that I did feel there was a bit too much saving, but I understand why Jarvis had to do that. Peggy doesn't really need saving, but I don't know. It's good to see her have Jarvis. I definitely like seeing that, and basically she was able to sneak out, and I definitely like seeing that. So Peggy then reports back to Sousa and Jack, telling him about the two versions of tomorrow's newspaper that she found, and Jack thinks that they should just ignore this, saying that Peggy doesn't have any evidence because he's convinced that he knows what's going on. He doesn't feel there's something else going on, and Peggy calls him out on it, and I like seeing, I've always liked this, conflict between Jack and Peggy. She's saying that he's a coward and that he doesn't really want to he's looking at things in a very black or white way, literally a black or white way, but, literally that's how he's looking at it. He thinks that either Wilkes, that this is the story's done and there's nothing else to it, and Jack then sends Peggy back to New York, and he obviously can't do that. He can't do that right now, even though he is the chief of the east side of SSR. Sousa's, chief of the west side, so Jack really doesn't have the authority to do that here, and Sousa says that he thinks Peggy's taking the Wilkes thing too hard, and that, she's basically letting this affect her, and it's all about emotion and things like that, and I can see Sousa's point that Peggy was just, I think for Peggy, she really sees Wilkes as kind of what she had to go through, where she was accused of things, things. And if you remember last season, there were a lot of things going on with Peggy. Everyone thought that she was hiding something because she was, of course, hiding something of what she was really doing, with Jarvis and Howard and things like that. But Wilkes is definitely going through the same thing, and I think that really is what draws Peggy to Wilkes, is that Peggy just sees Wilkes, and it kind of reminds her of what she had to go through, and she doesn't want the same thing for him. So, basically, they then both notice the floating objects on her desk, and she recognizes it as a side effect of zero matter. So we're definitely starting to get into how powerful zero matter can be, because we don't really know what it is yet. Howard then examines Peggy, notices that her temperature is dropped as well, and he has an idea of how to stop the effects. It's clear that that is a side effect of what's going on. He's been working on a substance to make all wavelengths visible and recordable. He sprays some and reveals Dr. Wilkes hovering nearby in an intangible state. So he's able to bring Wilkes back, and I will say this was a little bit silly, but I thought it was a good way to bring Wilkes back. We need Wilkes back. We can't not have him there. So Wilkes tells him about what happened at Isodyne and then fades away. And basically, Wilkes isn't dead. He basically is suffering from this side effect where you just have to constantly spray this spray at him. Basically spray this sort of like invisible spray that will make him visible because he's invisible right now. And I think that definitely was very clever because they made it seem like Wilkes was dead. Great way to keep him on the show, and I definitely like seeing that. I really like the actor as well. I'm glad that they're keeping Wilkes around because I really like his character. So he fades away very quickly, and obviously they don't really know what's going on. And Howard then tells Jarvis that he and Peggy make a great team, tells Jarvis to let him know if he needs a new butler, and it's clear that Howard is trying to get involved. Howard very much feels like third wheel in this sort of thing. Like, Peggy and Jarvis know what they're doing, and Howard's just kind of walked into it. That's very much what's going on, but he did help them out by finding a way to bring Wilkes back, so that was convenience. Peggy then asks Sousa for help investigating Whitney, and Peggy then visits Whitney. They verbally fence about the Isodyne incident until Whitney is called to set, and Peggy acts a bit starstruck because she's never really seen a star before, and that part I thought was genuine, where she's like, oh my god, I can't believe you're here. Whitney, definitely, you can tell, though, that Peggy's obviously trying to get information out of her, and Jack then hands Masters the Isodyne explosion reel because Masters wants to look into it. He doesn't really know if they fully know what's going on. He feels there's definitely more going on here, like Peggy does. So Peggy returns to find Howard and Wilkes trying to figure out a solution to Wilkes' condition, and Carter assures Wilkes that he's in good hands, his own, and that they're going to figure out a way to keep him around so they don't constantly have to spray the spray. And it's obviously an effect of what zero matter can do. So Jack then finds Sousa working late. Sousa tells Jack about his pending engagement, and I really like this scene here. Jack offers to take Sousa out for a drink, but Sousa declines, and you can definitely tell that Jack wants to get involved with Sousa's life, and he kind of wants to be there for Jack, but I don't really think Sousa appreciates the way that Jack treats Peggy, and definitely it seems like Sousa just has this more authority than Jack does. Definitely, you can tell. I mean, Jack, it seems, had that authority, but as Master says, he's becoming irrelevant. And why is he becoming irrelevant? Mainly because of Sousa. Sousa definitely is becoming a lot more powerful, and it's clear that Jack is trying to get involved, and he's trying to take over, but he just can't really do that anymore because Sousa really is the authoritative figure right now, and I definitely really like seeing that. And seeing Sousa kind of one-up Jack, I definitely really like seeing, and honestly, Jack kind of deserves it for being such a dick. You do kind of have to feel bad for the guy at the same time, but I'm definitely interested in seeing how this is going to go, because I could definitely see this becoming a real big conflict between Jack and Sousa, definitely. So Whitney then tells Chadwick about Peggy's visit and tells him to let Mr. Hunt take care of it, and I'm like, who's Mr. Hunt? Obviously, we don't know who he is, but definitely, obviously, he's someone that will take care of things, and Chadwick is resistant to the idea because they already have a lot of things going on, but Whitney insists using her acting skills and wit to manipulate Chadwick, and the way that she did this, we see right away that this is fake. I mean, she's crying, she seems like she really wants to get this done, but then when he walks away, we see that Whitney is completely faking all of this. So clearly Whitney has a bigger plan, and I definitely really like the way she's kind of manipulating him. I mean, definitely something that I thought was very interesting was the way that she's able to manipulate Chadwick like this. This is something that we did not have last season. You know, last season we had Dottie. Yes, she was very good, but we didn't have this manipulation going on with this couple. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that Whitney is clearly manipulating Chadwick, and she is definitely the one that's calling the shots, and Chadwick doesn't even realize that, and I definitely really like seeing that. They definitely are making Whitney a very, very good villain. I definitely really like the way they're writing her. So Jarvis then finds Peggy working on a punching bag. He offers whatever help he can, and it's clear that she's going through a lot of stress, and I like that Jarvis just wants to help out Peggy, and Peggy assures him that she's fine, and after Jarvis leaves, Peggy is jumped from behind by a masked man. They both fall into the pool. They climb out. The man hits Peggy, and Jarvis throws him off balance. Peggy fires a gun that hits the man's hand, but he still escapes, and very intense stuff. I definitely really love seeing that. I love seeing Jarvis protecting Peggy, and just really intense stuff there. Definitely one of the best scenes this episode. Really, really love that. So, in the morning, Peggy then finds Jarvis bolstering the estate's security because it's obviously not safe there, and he needs to make sure the security is going on. It's clear that someone is after Peggy. Who this is, we don't know, but she's now had 2 altercations, and they both have ended with this person escaping. So, who this is this connected to Whitney? I'm not really sure, but it's clear that there's someone after her, and I'm definitely interested in seeing what's going to happen there. So she then finds Howard preparing to head to Peru to get help from one Abner Brody, an expert in his field, and that's how we get Howard away. And I understand they need to find ways to keep Howard around and then have him leave because obviously Dominic Cooper has a show right now. I thought this was a good way to get him to go. I'm sure we'll probably see him again by the end of the season because he definitely is going to help them out, and I like seeing that. And for his part, Wilkes then plans to leave so that no one else gets hurt, but Peggy insists that he stay, that he has all the information, and if Whitney tries to, use it against him, he can prove that she's wrong, and I definitely really like seeing that, and I love that Wilkes didn't want to stay, but he did for Peggy. It just shows how much he loves her, and definitely you can tell that there's going to be a romance between these two. I mean, just the way they're writing it, I definitely really like it. It's clear that Peggy's not really thinking about that right now, but it's definitely, I think, in the back of her mind. I think she definitely has feelings for Wilkes. I think she knows that, but above all, I think this really is about how she can relate to what Wilkes is going through, definitely. And I really like seeing that. Really great scene there. And I'm glad that they're keeping Wilkes around because this is a character they could have easily gotten rid of, but I'm glad they're keeping him around. Definitely really enjoying that. So Sousa then tells Peggy some very interesting information that definitely affects the rest of the season. I'm very interested in seeing where this is going to go. He talks about this inventor named Agnes Coley. She helped Isodyne get off the ground, and she basically kind of jump-started Isodyne, and it turns out that Agnes Coley is none other than Whitney Frost. Whitney Frost is pretending she is actually Agnes Coley, who Sousa said was like a modern-day Marie Curie, which is very interesting. And if you guys know Marie Curie, she was, a very famous scientist. She, very interesting stuff. And knowing that Whitney is hiding who she really is, obviously this is something that Chadwick does not know, and I definitely really like seeing that. I mean, all this stuff that Chadwick does not know, I really want to find out more about what's going on here. She clearly has an ulterior motive, and we'll have to see what that is, because I don't think we really know yet, and I'm definitely interested in seeing what's Agnes's big ulterior motive really is, because definitely they're writing her to be a very compelling villain, and I'm really getting into her storyline. I mean, I was a bit worried last week that she was gonna kind of be just over the top, but no, they're really writing her to be a very good character, and I'm definitely interested in seeing what's gonna happen there. Then this is also very interesting because Masters introduces Jack to Chadwick, who is his new best friend. They show Jack a newspaper with the same headline that Peggy told Jack about, and I don't know really what's going to happen here, if Chadwick is, trying to get Jack on his side or whatever, but this is definitely going to get very interesting, and I'm definitely interested in seeing what's going to happen here. So I don't really know where that's headed, but definitely very interesting stuff there. And then the ending of this episode was truly, insane. I don't know what's going on here. The director tells, I guess Agnes is what I'm going to call her now, because that's her real name. He tells Agnes that the studio wants to replace her, but that he wants to bat and for her, and convince them to keep her on board. But he starts putting some unwelcome moves on her until he notices the zero matter on her head. It's clear that she obviously doesn't want to flirt with him, and he's trying to take advantage of her. But then he notices the zero matter on her head. He's freaking out. The zero matter comes pouring out of Whitney's body until it consumes the director, and he disappears. So knowing what that zero matter can do is crazy, and the look on Agnes's face, I think, indicates that she doesn't even realize how powerful the zero matter is. It's clear that she, like I said, jump-started Isodyne, but it's clear that she does not really know how powerful and what the zero matter can really do. So basically, he disappears, and that's how this episode ends. So really great stuff, guys. I really love this episode. Like I said, I really love the way they're setting up this character of Agnes Cully. They're definitely doing a very good job with her character. I'm really loving the actress that's playing her. Everything about what's going on with Chadwick, I'm convinced is fake. I'm convinced this is just her basically just trying to get allies, and she's eventually going to manipulate him, and he's definitely going to find out what's going on. We'll have to see what's going on here. But my big question is she aware of this zero matter? The look on her face indicates that she's not, but then I want to go back to the scene where she's crying, and then she gives that look like, oh, this is all fake. Is she pretending? Is she pretending that she doesn't know what's going on with this zero matter? But, because I really don't think she does. I think that this zero matter is even beyond her. This zero matter clearly is much more powerful than she thinks it is. And knowing that it can make people disappear and make them invisible, there are many things that this can do. And also, like I said, I do still think that zero matter has connections to the, obelisk, in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they're definitely going to connect it to that. I'm also hearing, I forgot to say this last week, guys, but I am hearing we're going to get some Doctor Strange connections, which definitely really interests me, because the fact that they're actually going to jumpstart Doctor Strange here and maybe get some references here and there, definitely interested in that as well, because that definitely is very interesting. What's going to happen with Jack? I definitely feel there's going to be a bit of a power struggle between Jack and Sousa this season. It's clear that Sousa has the upper hand. He's the more powerful figure. Jack wants to get involved, but he's really not, and it definitely seems like the way we're going, Jack is definitely going to team up with Chadwick. I can definitely see this happening. Masters is clearly going to get Chadwick to work with Jack, and I don't really know what's going to happen here. We'll have to see. What is Agnes's real plan? We don't really know. We don't really know what it is, and I'm definitely interested in seeing what it is. We don't even know what she's working with and what's going on there. We'll have to see, because definitely, and also, who is after Peggy? Is that connected to Agnes? Because definitely, someone's after Peggy. We don't know who it is. Like I said, she's had 2 altercations now, and someone's after her, and we don't really know who's after her, but we'll have to see what's going on there. Jarvis, I like that Jarvis is trying to be there for Peggy. I definitely like seeing that. I did miss not seeing Anna in this episode, because I really do like Anna as a character. I'm sure we'll see her again, but she was not in this episode, unfortunately. But we'll have to see what happens with Jarvis. It's clear that he's trying to be there for Peggy, and I definitely really did like seeing that. Howard Stark, it was great to see him again. Is he going to find Abner Brody? Are we going to see him again this season? I'm pretty sure we will, but we'll have to see what happens with that. Wilkes. What exactly is going on with Wilkes? It's clear that a side effect of the zero matter is invisibility, and there's a way to keep him invisible. What is going to happen with Wilkes, and how do you feel that Peggy really feels about him? Like I said, me personally, I really feel that Peggy just has so much empathy for him, because of the fact that he is being discriminated very much like she was last season, and she just really feels for him that way, and she really understands the situation that he's going through, and I definitely really do like seeing that. And the way that they are handling this it doesn't feel cheesy. It doesn't feel like this is a forced romance. In fact, it feels like it's the complete opposite. It seems like they could be heading a romantic direction, but they don't necessarily have to be. This isn't something where they have to get these two together. In fact, if they don't get together, I'm perfectly fine with that. I mean, I think that they are going to get together because we know that Peggy does end up with someone. Obviously, we know that from Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and I definitely feel that if it's not Sousa, it's going to be Wilkes. So it's definitely going to be one of those two. It's either Sousa or Wilkes. I'm saying that right now, and it's probably not Sousa because he's happy right now with with his girlfriend and with his fiance and shit. So I'm sure I think everything's fine with Sousa right now. He doesn't really need to be with Peggy, and obviously things aren't the best between them. But overall, guys, let me know what you guys saw this episode. I definitely really enjoyed this episode. I'm really getting into this case, I have to say. Jane, my only thing is, what's happened to the Jane Scott case? Are we just suddenly not focusing on this anymore? I mean, we still don't know necessarily who committed the Jane Scott murder, so I don't know if that's going to come back into play, but it kind of just went away in this episode. And I understand that the big focus this season is Zero Matter and what the Zero Matter can do and things like that. I totally understand that, but it seemed like we were really focusing on the Jane Scott case in the last episode, and now we're kind of just abandoning it. So I don't know if we're going to go back to that, if that's something that was just like a one episode thing or whatever, but it seemed like that was kind of like the main storyline of this, so we'll have to see. Also, Dottie, what's going on with Dottie? Is she going to come back into play? Is she kind of just gone now? I mean, I'm not really sure. It seemed like Dottie, there was going to be something going on with Dottie and Jack, but I'm not really sure. I mean, it's clear that Jack is still after Dottie. She's still out there, and obviously Jack wants to catch her. That's definitely something that he wants to do, but like I said, I really do feel that at some point these two storylines are going to interconnect, and we don't really know what's going on with Agnes. Agnes, for all we know, could be working with Dottie, so we don't really know what's going on there. We'll have to see. Overall, guys, let me know what you guys saw this episode. I'm really loving this season. Like I said, I honestly might be enjoying this season more than last years. I honestly might be. I'm just loving the manipulation and the mystery. All of it is just great. They're doing a great job of making this very much not like last season. This already is a very different season. I really do like that. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. I will see you guys in my next show, which will be for tonight's episode of Pretty Little Liars, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.